Good morning, good morning, good morning. Peace and blessings. It's your boy Jay Taylor. Happy Saturday. Welcome back to Voices for the Voiceless. And yes, I have, and as the title says, I have changed my position, my opinion on the Nolan Wales case slightly. Um, I did a video on the tragedy. First and foremost, I want to say rest in peace to the young man Nolan Wales. Um, my deepest condolences once again to the parents and the family and the community. But as time has gone by, it's been about 2 weeks since the 4th of July, since this tragedy happened. And if you're not familiar with the Nolan Wales case, by chance, it was a young man that was celebrating the 4th of July, America's 250th birthday, this past 4th of July with some friends on a boat going in Mississippi, and they took a boat ride to an island that's maybe about 10 miles away from the mainland in Mississippi. A lot of people were out there, and the boat came back with the young man, but not Nolan Wales, right? And when the boat came back with the other three young men and not Nolan Wales, um, the mother put of Nolan Wales and the father put in a missing persons report, and his body was later found on November 6th or 7th, 2 or 3 days later, washed up on the shore of that particular island. I think it's called Horn Island in Mississippi. Now, the whole controversy of it is, was it foul play or did he just so happen to drown? And if you need further details, I'll go into great detail in the first video that I did maybe 2 or 3 days ago. You could go check that out for more details of what we know now. And the thing that is so complex about this situation is the racial aspect of it. Was there foul play? Now, right now, as it stands, the state of Mississippi is doing their autopsy to determine what the cause of death was. And by this being a racial situation, the family of Nolan Wales, him being perceived as a young black boy, and we're gonna get to that because it's a large perception of that. And the other friends being three white males, um, the narrative was, oh, maybe it was foul play because the other boys were white and he's black, because they left the island without Nolan Wells, and they said last time they seen him, he was talking to a girl. But see, some things have transpired. Some information has came out since I did that last video that kind of explains away. Now, I want to be clear. I haven't changed my position on the racial aspect, the racial dynamic of it. I haven't changed my position on that. I don't think this had anything to do, if there was any foul play, I don't think this was a racial situation at all. I haven't changed my position on that. But since then, the three white boys that were his friends, they have had to, they have opted to discontinue their social media, stay offline, and they all had lawyered up. And one of the parents is a judge. We talked about that in the last video. And she came out allegedly and wrote a post. So I don't blame. But once again, I don't blame these young men for taking their social media down. I don't blame them for lawyering up. I mean, you see how crazy people are on social media. They have made these boys targets. Nobody has been accused of doing anything. The autopsy has not came back. We don't have any facts to go off of to say something happened, right? Now, there was some things that happened where I felt what I do change my position on is this. The last video I said is that them boys know for a fact what happened to Nolan Wales. I said that in that last video, and I have to retract that statement. I don't think these boys necessarily have to know what happened to Nolan Wales due to a lot of the facts that have came out since then. You know, Nolan Wales, another aspect of it, when they came back, when the three boys came back home, not only did they not have Nolan Wales, but they had his cell phone. So we like, that's odd how they got his phone, but not him. Now, I know they said in the last video, he saw a young girl that he was attracted to, and he wanted to stay back and holler at her, right? So these are the things that came out in social media. Two friends came out and spoke on TMZ. Now the funny thing about this is they had this narrative all over social media that Nolan Wales was the only black boy on the island and all this. No, he was not. Two of the friends that came out, at least one of them is black. The other one may be mixed black. So it was other black people there. So it wasn't like Nolan Wales was the only black person. And we're going to get to the fact if he even identifies black as well. But the fact is, one of his friends is black. See, I told people this new generation, these children, they don't deal, these 18-year-olds, you know, they don't deal with the whole racism thing in this new generation like that. They don't deal with that. See, they are actually living the dream that Martin Luther King had. But it's like the rest of the older people don't want that dream to manifest. When Martin Luther King said, I have a dream that little black boys and little white boys and little black girls and white, they live in that dream. They not looking at each other as you white, I'm black, and we supposed to be at each other. They not, it's the older generation that is forcing this down these children's mind that they had to be, you know, identified solely off of race. You know, identity, you know, is solely based off of you black, I'm white, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? These kids, they don't operate in that type of society. They are truly living the dream that Martin Luther King had. They not looking at each other like, well, I'm up here, you down there, and I'm down here, you up there. They not looking at each other through that type of lens. These are 17, 18-year-old young men that's been friends for years in the South, in Mississippi, right? So one of the friends came out on TMZ, the black friend, and they was asking him questions, and he said, man, you know, this ain't got nothing to do with race, you know? We black, we go to school, it's a majority white school, we go to school, you know what I'm saying, with you know, majority white, and we been friends. It ain't no situation where, you know, it was any tension, it's racial tension or whatever. And he kind of clarified that, you know, and they also said that there was an altercation. Now, this where the other friend came out that did the interview with TMZ. He said Oh man, the altercation that was going on the island, that was me. You know, see, the family had hired this race hustling attorney by the name of Ben Crump. And then now you got Al Sharpton coming on. Then you got Colin Kaepernick paying, or you know, paying for the autopsy. Then you got Tyler Perry paying for the funeral. So you got all these black prominent figures coming around this situation to, when you don't see them, like on July 4th, right? Just here in Chicago, we probably had, I think, somewhere close to 50 or 60 shootings. 10, 12 unalivings on average over a weekend, holiday weekend. I mean, but you don't see Ben Crump up here, making a big fuss about that. You don't see Colin Kaepernick paying for anybody, Tyler Perry paying for anybody's funeral. You don't see, these, they already didn't have Black Lives Matter down there marching for Nolan Wales when there is no sign of foul play in this situation. Ben Crump always pop up when it's a black versus white situation, right? Ben Crump pop up. Next thing you know, Black Lives Matter marching down the street, and now you done put these other boys that ain't charged with no crime in a situation where they get death threats. I don't blame them for lawyering up. I don't blame them for taking down their social media. These people on the internet are crazy. These are young. You putting that. See, that's why I have a bad taste in my mouth for how the parents of Nolan Ryan are handling. I said Nolan Ryan. Lord have mercy. God forgive me. The parents of Nolan Wales. If y'all don't know, Nolan Ryan was a pitcher in baseball with Nolan Wales. Rest in peace. They are how they are handling this situation. The parents of Nolan Wales know unequivocally that this don't have nothing to do with racism. That they son have been hanging out with these friends and going to this island for at least a year. But they've been friends for multiple years. This ain't the first time that they went on this island. And that's something that the friends have confirmed. Now, like I said, the second friend came out because Ben Crump was like, "Oh, that was Nolan screaming, 'What you doing with my phone?'" It was an altercation prior to him being unalive. And the friend came out and said, "Nah, man, this one of his best friends, allegedly." They came out and said, "Nah, you know what I'm saying? That was me getting into it with somebody. That wasn't Nolan. Nolan not like that. He wasn't, that was me getting into it." Now we do know that there was alcohol being consumed. You mix in, boats and water and things of that nature. Now, another thing that came out. See, now we got the friends that basically they debunked the whole racial situation, and they debunked the fact that Nolan was getting into an altercation about his phone. That wasn't Nolan. Another thing is the boat malfunction. Now, see, what we didn't know is like, well, wow, why would they leave without Nolan? Well, the thing about that is we understand, and I said it in the first video, is that the bilge pump on the boat was going bad. So when they was on the island, now the reason why his phone was on the boat in the first place is when they pulled up to the island, it's nowhere you can dock. It's just it's very, you know, industrial. It's not like it's not a dock that you could pull your boat all the way up to shore. So you basically have to park your boat some distance away from the actual island, so they either jump off the boat and swim to the island. That's the only way you can get there. Or you know what I'm saying? So you're not going to, quite naturally, you're going to leave your phone on the boat, because if you get in the water with your phone, you ain't going to have no phone no more. So that explains the reason why Nolan left his phone, and pretty sure everybody else left their phone and their keys and all that on the boat, because everybody leaving their phone on the boat because you got to swim to the island, right? You know, you might be about 10 feet away from the island. You can't, it ain't nothing but water. You got to know how to swim so you can get there. So that explains why he left his keys and his phone there. Now, when they get on the island, one of the boys who boated discovered that, oh man, the boat bell's pump went out. You know, it's sinking. We got to get back to shore before the boat be at the bottom of the ocean, right? So what my assessment so far of what happened, and this just allegedly, is that when they discovered that the Bell's pump, so the Bell's pump is what, you know, boat take the water in and push the water back out. So if the Bell's pump is out, then water is starting to get inside the actual boat. So eventually, long enough, it's gonna sink. You know what I'm saying? If they don't, so they got to hurry up and get back to the island. So they like, hey, y'all, we got to go. You know what I'm saying? The Bell's pump running out. At this point, Nolan had met some girl that he liked, and he chopping it up with the girl. And at that point, Nolan probably was like, man, I'm going to stay back and catch a ride with somebody else, because one of the black friends on TMZ also said that they was supposed to be on the same boat, but it got packed up too quick, so they end up splitting up and getting on different boats. I forgot that part. So that explains why he was on the boat with them in the first place, because it was multiple boats. See, they keep talking about these three white friends, but it was other black friends there too, right? So the other friend that talked to TMZ, he went on ahead and got on another boat. So Nolan probably like, man, I could just catch a ride with one of them. So it probably was a few boats. So he probably looking like, all right, the Bell's pump, hey, I'm gonna stay back. I ain't ready to go, because it was only like 4:00 in the evening. So I can understand he probably didn't want to go. So they left. They had to hurry up and get back to sea, get back to the land, the mainland. So they left Nolan behind, and he probably was like, hey, you know, I'll probably get in the water, keep my phone. This is me saying allegedly, like, when I get back to land, I'll come get my phone and my keys. You know what I'm saying? Because I know I'm probably gonna get back in the water. Why would I have my phone and all that? They know this is something that they probably do all the time. You know what I'm saying? It's probably because it's like their first time going to this island. They know the protocol. This probably didn't happen before, where we're like, hey man, I'm gonna catch the other boat. I'll get my phone when I get back. You know, we're gonna play video game, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, Nolan stayed back behind. And this is confirmed because the boys headed back to the mainland, and the Bell's pump went all the way out, and they had to call the towing company to tow them all the way back to the mainland. So they played the phone call of the tow company, confirming, yeah, we stuck in the water. Can y'all come get us? And the tow company came and towed the boat and the boys back to the mainland. Nolan back. Now, at this point, the boys, this is why I changed my position that they knew anything. Because the boys, if they had anything to do with the unaliving of Nolan Wales, They would have never kept that phone. They would have never kept none of them keys. That's evidence. Y'all in the ocean. Y'all could have just tossed it. They left that island for the simple fact that they had to hurry up and get back. So much so that they had to get towed back because the boat was malfunctioning. Whatever happened with Nolan after that, him talking to that girl and staying back behind, and then I'm gonna probably catch a ride, allegedly with somebody else. We don't know. This is what I like to tell people. We can sit here and speculate, but we do not know what happened. Could it be a situation where Nolan was trying to, went to another side of the island and try? It was a freak accident, if you ask me. Was he trying to take a piss and got caught up in the current? It ain't no signal over there. I mean, this is just possible, this is just possible things that could have happened. Could he had tried to, like, oh man, that boat full, this boat could he had tried to swim back and got caught in the current? And what I'm hearing, it was probably like about a 5 to 10 mile distance from the island to the mainland. He probably, in him, drinking and all of that, could he have tried to swim back by himself and got caught up in the current? I mean, I'm just trying to understand. Or if there was any foul play, could he have gotten in a boat with somebody else that could have did something to him? If it was any foul play. Me personally, the boys came out and they spoke and they said that nobody would ever want to do anything to Nolan. He was the nicest guy ever. And the whole fact is that young man was well loved. That's what, and the coach, their football coach, a black man, came out and spoke and said that he saw nothing but, love between Nolan and all those other kids. The ones that was on the boat, he never suspected anything to be a racism. So that's a third person. The mother of one of the boys, that's a judge, came out and wrote a statement and said, basically offered her condolences to the family. The mother of one of the children said Nolan spent the night at her house. We would never harm him. He was like family to my son and my family, my other kids and my husband. And, we embraced Nolan. He was a great kid, right? So, like, our community is torn apart behind this. But when you got the parents that have hired this race hustler, Ben Crump, and the parents haven't came out and said, "Oh, we think this racism," but they haven't discarded it either. They know it wasn't racism, man, and that's the thing. Well, I'm trying not to go there on the parents right now, but I wish they would come out and clarify that. They done raised a lot of money, over $1 million, for what? If you want to donate, I don't make no qualms about that to support the family. But when you doing this in the name of racism, I don't even think, like, and then this is another thing. Nolan Wales probably didn't even really identify as black. His mother is Vietnamese. So I think her father may be black. So his grandfather black. But I don't know if that boy even really, because it seemed like the mother more identified as a Vietnamese woman than she do a black woman. Just judging from her social media prior to this situation, she was more on the Vietnamese side. Now the father, it's kind of up for grabs, is that because they got different names, is that the stepfather or the real father? But to me, it seems as though the mother and maybe Nolan identified more with being Vietnamese than they did black in the first place. That's why he was hanging out with more, white boys than he was black. That's why he was more, into he was talking to a white girl at the beach. These, like I said, these kids don't really deal in that type of reality, you know what I'm saying? And as far as racial division, you know what I'm saying? But if I had to make an assumption looking at from my research from what the mother was identifying herself as, it would be more as uh, a Vietnamese woman than a black woman. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of makes this whole thing look silly. I mean, with all these black people out here going to bat for a young Vietnamese boy, essentially, if that's what the case is, you know. Now, like I said, the father's black, but they got different names. We don't know if that's his stepfather or, real father, or the real father could be black if that's his stepfather. But most children identify with what the mother identifies as, regardless of what race the father is. So if the mother is Vietnamese, more than likely the son identifies more as Vietnamese, right? But with these different developments that came out and these different people that's speaking out, I changed my position on those boys just had to know what happened. And I don't like to come and speak on anything until we have some significant changes in the situation. But yeah, man, I'm gonna get up out of here. Got to get back to work on this gloomy Saturday, man. I'm happy it ain't blazing hot at the moment. But yeah, man, it's your boy Jay Taylor, Voices for the Voiceless. We love y'all. Hope this brought some clarification to some things. Peace and blessings. Much love.